All right, well, this is the Pastor with No Answers, and I am here with a friend, an old friend. Haven't hung out with him in a while. Well, I guess we hung out like last week. But man, I don't mean this like as a joke, but this like literally is, I think it's the first premarital counseling, marriage, and all that stuff that didn't work out. Like I seriously used to brag like I'm awesome at my job. I do good premarital counseling. All of the like 24 weddings, they're all still together.
But we were your first one, right?
No, I think maybe like third or fourth. So it was early on. So I probably messed y'all up a little bit. I probably messed y'all. Yeah. I want to talk about that a little bit more, but we won't do that right now. I do. I was Priscilla and I were talking when I told her that you were coming over, and you have a knack for not trying to be funny and being hilarious.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe it's just
do people tell you that?
No. Maybe it's just because I'm dumb.
I seriously remember one time in premarital counseling, I think I set up some sort of scenario like, if your wife was late and you missed a concert and, you're super frustrated because it was your favorite band and, how would you handle that and all that stuff? Like you were seriously like critically thinking like, well, I mean, was there an extra car? Could I have like gotten in the car and like gone? Or, you started thinking of I was like, that's not the point. I'm just trying to figure out what would you do if you were angry. This is not critical thinking right now.
The thing is like, would I be angry? Because I mean, if I was in the car, then I'd probably be angry. If I wasn't in the car, then I probably wasn't angry. So.
Totally. So tell us, before we go into marital, relational stuff. Oh, let me grab some of this Coors real quick. Before we do that, tell us a little bit about what got in your head. Why'd you want to start a podcast? Like,
honestly,
are you a podcast listener? Like, do you listen to podcasts?
Yes, I do. I remember I started my first podcast, and it was, it was maybe 2008 when podcasts really weren't cool.
Yeah. And
basically what I was doing is I was just using it, streaming it to my MySpace page.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just interviewing. I had a roommate I was friends with that was in a big band. Oh gosh, what was he called? I can't remember it now, but he was from Athens. And it was fun for me. It was just kind of an outlet to be creative, to kind of cut some stuff together and put things together. Now it's more of kind of like an outlet. Like I don't see, I should probably go to counseling or something like that.
Right.
But at least I'm like just kind of talking to someone. I feel like I am.
Right.
So I use it kind of more like therapy, and I don't look at my viewers or views or subscribers or something like that. I really don't care.
Dude, I wish. I mean, it's like everybody that asks me about podcasting, I'm going to refer them to this episode and what you just said, because the question that I get the most is, hey, what should I do to start a podcast? And then almost the next question is always, when will I be able to sell ads? And I'm like, listen, if you're going into this podcast with the goal of making money, if that is your goal for like supplemental income, just don't do it. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. Like this podcast. So obviously a lot of our listeners know about Bad Christian, and over the years, for some reason, a lot of people like listening to us, and we have been able to sell ads, and we have a BC Club that sustains us, and but this podcast, I do it because I like it. Yeah. I do it because I can call John Lotterhos, my friend that I'm sitting down with, and not ask Matt and Toby, hey, what do you think about talking to this guy? I can just do it.
Right.
I can play a song if I want to. I can talk about anything for 45 minutes and bore people to death if I want to. I can do what I want to do. And that's why I do this podcast.
Yep.
And that's why I do it, because I want to do what I want to do.
Exactly. And I've been criticized, a couple of times from friends who are like, hey, man, like, I love your stuff, but you just ramble. And I'm like, well, that's just how it's going to be. I'm going to ramble for 15 minutes, and then I'll finally get to the topic.
Right. So. Totally. So your podcast, you're focusing on, see if I got this right, community, and maybe do you have like an acronym, or is it alliteration?
So it's CMW,
Community
Music Weekly. And the thought behind all of it originally was there was this magazine back in the day called CMW, or CMJ. college music journal, and basically they had kind of like life, music, and just kind of college life and music all kind of like wrapped in one.
Yeah.
And so my thought of it is do 15 minutes of kind of life, and I want to do soccer, so I'm gonna do 30 minutes of soccer and then 30 minutes of music.
Yeah.
To kind of put it all together. Right now, I mean, I don't know. I had my episode 3 was a little long, but I was with Robbie Madison, and like just hanging out with that guy and talking with him.
Yeah.
It can go on for hours. I mean, hours. I've literally been on the phone with him for like 3 hours.
I think he's Jesus, by the way. I think so.
You know what? At least a prophet. He's at least a prophet. This guy is amazing.
Yeah, totally. It's I don't know. It's with podcasting. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and I got to ask you this: what happened? Were you on air recording, and then a telemarketer actually called you?
Oh yes,
wow.
That's exactly.
And then you called them back.
Yes, and I called like so.
It was the greatest. Like that is like seriously. So I get a handful of people every now and then are like, hey, listen, check out my podcast and everything. And sometimes out of curiosity, I'm like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I mean, this sounds so arrogant. It makes me sound like an asshole and everything. But bottom line is there's a lot of good podcasts out there.
Right.
And 5 minutes into something, if I'm not into it, I'm not into it. And it has nothing to do with how big the podcast is. That happens with gigantic podcasts. And maybe I'm just dumb enough or I'm too stupid to understand what they're talking about. But bottom line, I'm not going to listen to any more than 5 minutes of something that's not interesting, maybe not even more than a minute.
Right.
So I'm listening to you, and there's some investment in it because I know you. And I also am kind of like, well, he's a friend, so I want to give it a real listen. But then I was just like, well, this is classic John stuff, and it's funny. But then when you called that telemarketer back, I was like, can he do that? Like, is he going to get in trouble? And this is hilarious. I mean, you even imitated what, like a different...
I did a cholo, like an LA style cholo voice, like, oh yeah. And he had no idea what hit him.
And he hung up on you,
he
right?
hung up on me.
That's hilarious. But I mean, I guess if he calls you, then it's fair game.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, his number's on my phone.
Now you can't prank call people. That would be the best podcast ever. Is prank calling people.
But you know what? I probably should do that.
Yeah.
That'll probably be my next episode. All of it.
Oh my gosh! And then you'll get shut down because it'll be a federal offense.
Yep.
How you doing? Are you trying to interrupt the podcast?
No.
What are you doing?
I'm hugging you.
Oh, you're hugging me. All right. Can you say hey to Mr. John?
Hey, what's up?
This is Waylon.
Hey.
This is William.
My goodness.
Hey, buddy.
I remember when one of you were in your mama's belly.
Yeah. Hey, the pictures that we have on the wall of you inside of Mom, he took them right here. Can you shut the door? All right, thanks. So, like, seriously, if you plan on, like, you can't do that, right? You can't prank call people. It's a federal offense, right? Like, somebody listen.
Well, I mean, if it's a business, if I'm calling someone back, right? That's
if you're calling someone back, yeah, that's got to be totally
legal.
I mean, so you should somehow figure out how to attract telemarketers to your cell phone.
That's true.
Oh my gosh, dude!
And then
that's gold.
and then just be like modern jerky boys.
Yeah, Yeah.
That's,
like I literally early on in our marriage, when I had time to do stupid stuff like this before we had kids, the telemarketers would call, and I would literally, my goal would be, I want them to want to get off the phone with me. And so there's one time when I played like the autistic route, and I told the guy, I was like, do you watch movies? He was just like, yes, sir. I said, right now I have all my movies spread out all over the floor, and I'm trying to figure out how to categorize them. Like, should I do action and adventure, or should I go by the actor? And I would not shut up. And there was like a couple times where he tried to interject and be like, hey, sir. And so finally they said, sir, I'm sorry, I've got to go. I was like, yes. So that was my goal. Every single now I don't have time to do that.
I could just picture Joey just on the floor, like literally just doing it as he's on the phone.
Totally.
Like, with everything spread out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I got to be in the role, man. I got to be in character. For sure. So so you're big into soccer. You're trying to get like actual soccer players, other soccer fanatics. Like what's kind of honestly, what do you see? You're like, obviously you've already established the fact that you're doing it because you want to do it, and that's great. So what does John want it to be?
I think the goal for it is really to build community, because within the soccer community, it's actually really kind of not tight niche. you allow, like everybody allows in.
Yeah.
But I think the reason it is tight knit is because a lot of people just don't really understand. I don't know. It's just so hard to explain. Soccer community is interesting. Basically, I would say, to be honest with you, maybe 80% are full-fledged alcoholics.
Yeah.
Functioning alcoholics.
Soccer players, alcoholics.
And the other 20% are probably just alcoholics that aren't really functioning. I'm talking about the supporters, not the players.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, the players are super fit.
Right.
Like these guys. I was
like, I did not know that about soccer athletes.
But there has been a couple. I was in Jacksonville maybe 3 years ago when the U.S. national men's team played. I can't remember, Panama. And next thing I know, we're hanging out at the bar in Jacksonville Beach, and then here comes 20 of the U.S. players. So we're hanging out with like Kyle Beckerman, Brad Gazan, Bradley, and some of the other ones. And they wouldn't let me. Like I wanted to buy Jeff Cameron a beer, but he wouldn't let me.
Yeah,
because apparently we get in trouble. So
yeah, I hear you. All right.
So it's about building community.
Yeah, I like it. So I want to, first of all, people check out the podcast. I'd like to figure something out, like maybe if you want to air one of your podcasts on this channel, just so people can check it out, or maybe we can. I'll tell you what. Why not?
How about I build? What I could do is I could build like a best of or whatever.
Perfect.
Put it all together,
and we'll play it at the end of this episode. We'll play it at the end of this episode so people can.
Well, that means I have to do work. Thanks a lot, Joey.
Thanks
a lot. No, I have to work.
Well, I've got such a bank of tape now, so you can do it in a couple months and we'll air it.
Oh,
then.
perfect.
So, yeah,
that'd be
whenever
great.
you want to. But all joking aside, I love you. I love your wife and or your ex-wife,
Soon.
and so not
Fortunately,
don't want to be too joking about me failing you guys, because obviously that's
you know what, like when you asked me when you first time you found out, you're like, hey man, is there anything I can do? And I'm like, no, you've already done enough. You're good.
Thanks a lot, man. Could you not have warned us or whatever?
Yeah.
But I thought
I thought you saw it. I thought you saw that it was going to fail like before it even started.
Right. Isn't that your job?
Joey? Where were you?
Your job?
It is your job, Joey.
Yeah, totally. You said something that really was intriguing, and it's the second time that I've come, I think, or maybe third time recently that I've come face to face with. Wait a second. There's way more to the discussion when we talk about divorce. Like it's just too easy for a Christian to say, well, it's against God's will, so you don't do it. And I get that, but obviously, I mean, let's take the low-hanging fruit. What about the woman whose husband beats her every night? Like, obviously, get a divorce, get out of that relationship,
exactly,
sort of thing.
Yep.
I mean, so it can't be that cut and dry. But you are an example of a marriage where there's not any sort of abuse or anything like that. But what you said to me that was rather interesting is how you felt like the Christian culture that you had surrounded yourself in kind of groomed you to be motivated to get married, and potentially prematurely, and potentially to the wrong person.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, what does that look like? So you're dating someone that you obviously like, love, attracted to, want to be with, but then what? At some point you realize, not so sure about this, but this is what I'm supposed to do, so let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess kind of pretty much. But I guess my story is like I moved to Charleston. I guess in 2007 or whatever, and I was with my best friend now. We were roommates. Dugan, he's a pastor, which is crazy. I never would have thought that.
Yeah,
I mean, him and I used to, he probably doesn't like me talking about this, but him and I used to party a lot. And and then one day we were like, man, we need to stop this and start going to church. And so we did. And then next thing I know, I'm in a summer retreat with this college ministry, and I have not, I kind of did the whole, like, I'm not going to date for a year until I get my crap together,
Date Jesus.
Yeah,
right? Date
Jesus. I'm going to be in love with Jesus for a year. And I don't know if it lasted a full year. I think, honestly, it might have lasted 6 months. Yeah. And I found a girl that was, kind of, like, super into me and kind of persistent.
Yeah.
And so I remember... We had to break out at this retreat. This is when it all started. So we're at this retreat, and we had to do breakout groups, like some little small groups. And the head pastor was of the church, because we had this mega church.
Yeah.
And the head pastor was doing his, like, he was a speaker.
Right.
And he was talking about, well, right now we're going to go in breakouts and we're going to give, we're going to couple up and we're going to give testimonies. And then who knows? You might find your future wife.
Was it said in joking, or was it kind of like
it was
serious
kind of
tone?
like, it was kind of joking. I guess it's because that's how he found his wife. Like he got stuck like in some kind of like, I don't know, like a ski thing or whatever, a lift broken, and he had to give her his testimony, and all of a sudden now they're married.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, I don't know, whatever. God works mysterious ways.
Yeah.
And it's worked out great for them,
right.
for sure. But so in my head already, I'm thinking maybe I'm going to meet my future wife.
Right.
And so here's this girl that's super persistent, like super into me, and I'm like, God, is that my wife?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I've already kind of got that in my head. And then we started dating and still going to this college ministry. And even during the ministry, it was like, I swear, every single week, it was about relationships. I mean, I remember...
Was it a relational series? Is that why?
No, it probably was, but I mean, like, I wasn't, even the whole year. Like, it was,
gotcha.
Continuously,
Yeah.
How to find a boyfriend, series of like, that went on for like 4 months, and then how to find a future wife, series.
And so this is a singles ministry. So
this
it's
is
almost,
it's almost like college ministry.
It's almost like they've got like relationships on a pedestal.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's in, I don't know when to, I'm going to say it. So like, it's almost, now looking back on it, it's almost like, I wonder how much money they made off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is this a product? You know what I mean? Like, are we, is that what they're trying to sell? They sell in marriage?
Right.
Because it just felt, now looking on it, was just pushed. It was just, well, I remember there was a speaker that was talking, and he was like, if you, guys, you need to man up, and if there's a girl that you like, you need to go ask her out.
Right.
If you're dating right now, men, you need to man up, and you need to ask them to marry.
Right. I used to listen to Mark Driscoll, and that was basically his thing, was just like, get a wife, read your Bible, preach the word, sort of thing. I mean, It was just like, that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And to the point where if you're single, you really need to draw close to the Lord, and you really need to just put him first, and he'll be with you. Like it's some sort of a disease that you have,
right,
that you need Jesus to carry you from one day to the next, because man, everybody else is getting married,
Yeah.
Which and I think that there's obviously good intentions. I mean, it's like the people that are saying this, they think, hey, that is good for you, and honestly, in many cases, it was. But you felt like, so if you were not in this, I mean, so let me kind of put you on the hot seat. Like, if you were not in this environment, do you think that you would have decided not to marry who you married? Or
oh yeah. I mean, let's see, if I'm not in an environment, I probably would have let's say that I was in the relationship.
Yeah.
I would have gotten out of it, for both of our, but you know what I mean? I wouldn't, because we put each other through crap. So I'm not saying, you know what I mean? It's not, it would have been for her benefit and mine.
Right.
Just because, there was so much guilt, religious guilt, not more condemnation than conviction that was coming, that made me stay.
Yeah.
It made both of us stay.
Yeah.
I think.
And you think about it too, and it's like, I mean, it's crazy. As we talk about this, I really see this as such a complicated deal, because on top of this, she's what, 20?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you're what, 6 years older than her?
10.
So you're 30?
Yeah.
So I mean, still, when I don't know about you, but I'm 40 and I still don't know stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just
I'm still wondering now, like, why did her dad let this happen?
Right. So it's like, man, the youth, especially of her, being in that environment. I mean, don't you think at the very least, tacking on an extra 5 years in her life is going to give her a little more of a thought process? You too.
Yeah.
I mean, five more years of life experience, and obviously, you guys, maybe y'all could have worked out. I'm not even saying that, but all I'm saying is maybe we do need to rethink the sort of environment that we're creating, to where we're just like, no, this is the path. Get married.
Yeah. Yep. And it wasn't like, it's not that we weren't in love,
Right.
It was basically more of like a roommate situation. And like we had a lot of fun during our marriage. Like when we travel, stuff like that, like that was at our best.
Yeah.
But we just there was not an attraction for each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Was there ever, well, let me put it this way, like going through the separation and eventual divorce and everything, what percentage of that time, if any, did you feel like, man, God's pretty upset? Like I'm really,
honestly,
I'm doing the wrong thing here.
None.
I
hate to say it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that was that I ran, I ran to the church, and like, that was kind of like, that was kind of joked about, like, well, when you have problems, that's what you do. You go to the church and start, helping out and volunteering and stuff like that. And you kind of try to find that as your hide place. And I was like, no, that's not true. I mean, I came back from LA. I had no job. And I kind of, I had my best friend.
You guys were both living in LA, or?
Yeah, we were both living in LA.
Okay.
Basically what happened is that their separation was like, you're going to stay here and you're not going to come back to LA. And I was like, all right. And I was like, that's it. But, so I was talking to, so anyways, I had Dugan, and he was like, well, I work, at the church, man. And I would love to have your help with the youth.
Yeah.
And, I just felt God wanted me there. And it wasn't, I don't know. And I don't know where I think I'm kind of losing track, but I feel that there was no guilt, no condemnation, and no shame.
Yeah.
And I was really in it, like really into this, like really praying, really into the Spirit, really cleaning my spirit out as I'm kind of going through this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
guess detoxing from the world and really spending all of my time basically in kind of prayer and meditation.
Right.
For 6-7 months straight.
Right. See, that's an important part of this story, because I think a lot of people would assume, oh, well, since you got a divorce and since that's against God's will, you were running from God the whole time, where it sounds like you were drawing closer to him.
I was drawing closer and running to him. And honestly, it's a bunch of, it's for me in my life, a lot of Zozo.
Yeah.
A lot of ups, a lot of downs.
Yeah.
And, to be honest with you, yes, in LA, it was down.
Yeah.
And then once, the separation was brought to me, I realized that, I should probably, maybe it's my fault. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that I needed not help, but like, I know that my relationship with God was not diminished 100%, but definitely it wasn't really that close.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And, and I feel like I want to put myself out there by saying that the point of this conversation is definitely not, hey, I want to open the door for people to get out of hard marriages, because if that was the approach that I took, my wife and I would be divorced, because we've gone through some very hard times. I'm not trying to make any sort of point other than you being able to tell your story, and I think people's eyes being open to, oh, there's always a story behind a divorce,
right?
And it's not just this, oh, God told you not to and you did it, so you're rebels and you shouldn't have done that, and now you're committing adultery next time you get married.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, God probably told us not to get married, and we did it anyways.
Gosh, that's
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And actually, this is crazy, because a pastor at the church that I work at, that everybody knows is Seacoast, and I won't say who this pastor is, but behind closed doors, we had a conversation about this, and I thought this is an important caveat in the conversation. But he said, I wouldn't tell a couple this that are going through a hard time, because my goal is to see their marriage succeed.
Right.
But he said, I truly believe that if God's word says what God brings together, let no man separate. He's like, do we really think that God brings all marriages together? Like, do we really think that every single marriage? And honestly, I'm the dummy that thinks there's almost like this magical potion. Well, but now you're married, so God did bring it together.
So
and it's like
the fairy dust that comes down.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, now and it's that really does have to give you some pause for thought. And it's like, so what do we do with a marriage that God didn't put together? And it's just, again, don't want listeners coming away thinking, "Oh, wow, that's cool. All right, now you're on a divorce kick." No, I don't like divorce.
I don't like
hate
divorce.
I like marriage. I like seeing couples make it. I'm sorry for you guys and all that, but man, let's just don't be so quick to be so black and white. And it's important. I mean, my mother-in-law got a divorce, and she's a wonderful woman, and if anyone just labeled her as a certain type of person because she got a divorce, it's just insane. I mean, there's real people. So
I mean, Joey, you married us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I mean, like, you know, it sucks, like walking through, like when it first started happening, like I'm seeing people that I've known for years through the college ministry, stuff like that, people that are actually now staff on at the church. It's hard to walk into those doors and feel that I'm not being judged, you know, or that I'm not, you know, and it's not their fault. It's basically, it's the, you know, I don't know, I would say the spirit of Satan, you know what I mean, of depression or whatever, this voice. It's like, you know, like you messed up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So do you feel like people are judging you?
Yeah, I feel that more than I feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I feel that it was for the best for both of us. Almost kind of a release. I know that, I mean, it was super cordial. It wasn't, you know, the whole thing has been really, really good. I know that we'll probably stay friends until we die. You know, I still care about her. And I know she cares about me. We keep in touch, you know, and it just on an intimate portion, I guess, of what makes a marriage work. You know, it wasn't just that. It was just, I don't know. We were just better off friends than we should have been married.
Yeah.
I mean, even
sorry, dude.
No,
sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I'm surprised you didn't. I'm so surprised you didn't. Even one of my friends, like, I think I was leaving. Oh my gosh! All right, so we were leaving the rehearsal dinner, and like, I think I snapped at like one of my buddies that was in the back of the car, and he's like, "Oh, well, he's just pissed off because he's having to marry somebody he hates." And I was like, "What?"
Like, said that about me?
Huh? No. He said that about me.
Oh, I was like, what in the world?
Yeah, no. So we're in the car leaving the rehearsal dinner, and I snapped at him, and he's like, "Oh, he's just pissed off because he has to get married to somebody he dates."
Gotcha.
You know.
Goodness gracious. All right. Well, tell people one more time what your podcast is, and actually, we'll just play some of it here.
Yeah. Okay. It's CMW Community Music Weekly. It's live soccer music. Basically, it's trying to, I don't know what I'm doing with it, really.
Yeah.
Maybe just kind of, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
A little bit of life, a little bit of soccer, and a little bit of music. It might be all life, it might be all soccer, it might be all music. But
there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, John Lotterhos.
This is an Indie Sunday podcast. Follow Indie Sunday at INDIESUNDAY on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. Contact Indie Sunday for all your creative needs, from design to marketing. And this is the start of a disaster. This phone call.
Hold on. Let's do this. I have a call.
Week 2, I think.
Let's see what this call
The
is.
second podcast.
And, it's one of those salesperson's calls. Let's see. Hola. ¿Cómo está, muchacho? Hello? Oh, yeah?
Extension 1239. To accept this call, press 1.
Oh.
To send this call to voicemail, press 2.
Let's accept it.
Keep the caller ID. Press
Hey, what's up, man? Hello?
Hi, hello?
Hello?
May I please speak with, can you hear me?
Yes, I can totally hear you. Can you hear me?
This
Yeah,
guy's so
sorry about that.
confused.
I'm not sure what happened there. Is this Paul?
So confused.
Oh, yes, it totally is, man. What's going on?
He has
I'm
no-
I'm sorry, Mr. Your voice.
no idea what's happening.
How may I help you?
Oh, no worries, man. Hey, just curious of what you're doing right now.
And then,
Hello?
and then he just,
Yeah, what are you doing?
and then he just realizes, I guess,
Hello? I know you can hear me.
the best way to get out of it is to
Hello?
pretend
Yeah?
that I can't
What are
hear
you doing, man?
That I might be losing reception. It's the oldest play in the book.
You wanna get
And that's-
together later on tonight?
That was it.
What do you mean?
You want to get together later on tonight and have a drink?
Fuck it. I will take
Oh, he totally hung up on me.
So he hangs up on me. Anyways, all right. So we got soccer on this podcast. This is the soccer portion of the podcast. Right now, this interview is with Ray Hawkins and Eric Smith. We're kind of talking a little bit about USL, MLS, USA Soccer, a bunch of other little things kind of hit and branched. The main purpose of it is really to kind of like, what do soccer supporters talk about after the match, or like during the match, or before, in between, as we're drinking. So, I'm gonna warn you. There's a little bit of cussing in here, but that's just the way I guess life is. I don't know. It's the way it is. So, you gotta listen to this clip. It's so stupid. So, we have what, MLS opening weekend starts Sunday.
Great MLS starts.
I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this just because I live in LA, and I love LA. But fuck.
Yeah, I spent my birthday out there in LA.
Wait, can we talk about that real quick?
No, we're not talking about that.
Yes,
No,
why
we're
not? Can we please talk about that?
No, we're not.
Can we
We
please
have a
talk
lot
about
to cover this podcast.
Oh,
We're not going to talk about my fucking birthday week in LA, okay? Go fuck yourself.
So, real quick, Eric came out to LA for his
Jesus
birthday
Christ.
weekend, and
You're an asshole.
real quick, we showed him a good time, right?
You think?
Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
And
I had a very good time.
wait, hold on. We actually got him tickets too for Liverpool.
Liverpool, Chelsea.
Versus Chelsea.
What was it?
At the Rose Bowl.
What
At the
was
Rose
it?
Bowl.
What's it, the ICC? The
International
Championship
Challenge Cup. And so
at the Rose Bowl.
So at the Rose Bowl, I'm up front. And he was up like maybe 20, 30, maybe 50 rows up, crying, bitching about the heat or what the fuck
I was
you were
15
crying.
rows behind you, fucking asshole.
What a dick! You were up there crying. I saw you.
What are you talking? I was standing by your ex-wife.
Crying, and I got text.
crying.
Yeah,
Still crying then.
He was bitching. up there.
I was not
Of course
bitching.
you were up there
I had a
bitching.
good time.
Did you?
I had a good time with you Liverpool fucks.
Dick, you're so Portsmouth, which is crazy. Yeah, that was just because you played FIFA. So, we've got to talk about. All right, that's it. So you got to check it out. Check it out, man. We just sit around, talk, and we're gonna have some interviews and stuff with some other soccer players. But now, this is the portion of music. This is you're about to hear a interview with Brad Gazan, and then after we have some stuff that's coming up next month with a live show with Philip Phillips.
Now, this is CMW Music.
Hi, I'm Kurt Loder with an MTV News special report. Police say controversial rock star Tupac Shakur was entering the street-level lobby of an 8th-floor reporting studio near New York Times Square after midnight.
So, hey, I'm with Brad Gazan right now, and just gonna ask you real quick, so what's the first, music or, band or whatever that you ever got into when you were little?
To be honest, I never got into any one specific band or anything. I'm just a kind of universal guy. I enjoy listening to all types of music.
So is there any kind of music that when you get onto the pitch that kind of pumps you up or gets you excited, or?
No, I mean, like I said, it just depends what I'm feeling on certain days. There's nothing in particular. Obviously something a little bit more upbeat than downbeat, but yeah, I'm easy.
So what about when you're at USC? Is there any local bands or any you weren't there when Hootie was there, of course, but so you're still Gamecock.
I was only there for 18 months, so
So anyways, that was a horrible interview with Brad Gazan. This is what we got coming up. We got Philip Phillips that played live, little acoustic set up. I'm going to show you, I guess, just kind of drop in a little bit of clip of Philip Phillips. He won American Idol, did some other stuff. He came out with that song Home or whatever. You've probably heard the song in tons of commercials, like the Ford Escape commercial. But anyways, Philip Phillips, and then that's it. This is CMW Music. Basically, it's just live soccer music. And, if you want to subscribe, that'd be great. If you want to show your friends, great. Just tune in. You never know what's going to happen because we have no plan. No plan. There's no script. Well, there's guidelines, but no script. So anyways, cool. So, thank you for everything. I guess. I don't know. Take it easy.
Just rock your socks off. So, this is a new song. Got a new album out. It's called Collateral. If you haven't checked it out.
All right, so make sure you check it out, man. We got tons of stuff. We got music from Phil Phillips. We had stuff from Brad Gazan, which is a horrible interview. It was the worst ever. We have got soccer, tons of soccer, which is MLS. Not just MLS. We got USL. We have the US soccer. If you like soccer, if you just want to hear a bunch of drunk guys talk about soccer and life and other stupid stories, or it doesn't matter. I don't know. Come hang out.
Let's go. Well, the car's warmed up and ready to go, so let's make like a big bad wolf and blow. I want to take you out, show you the town. I want to paint it all red and then tear it all down. Come out, Katie. Come out, Katie. Come out, Katie. Well, let's go. Got my shoes all shine and my new suit on, so let's head on out and give it a go.